Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. On January 28, 2025, the College of Physicians and Surgeons Pakistan, in collaboration with the Bangladesh College of Physicians and Surgeons, hosted a seminar titled Strengthening Postgraduate Medical Education, CPSP and BCPS Perspectives at the Directorate of Medical Education, CPSP Headquarters, Karachi. Professor Dr. Muhammad Shoaib Shafi, President CPSP, along with Professor Khalid Masood Gondal, Senior Vice President CPSP, and the entire CPSP Council, welcomed Professor Dr. Muhammad Shahidullah, President BCPS, and BCPS Council members. The seminar covered themes such as artificial intelligence, assessment, accreditation, and research in postgraduate medical education. The Directorate of Medical Education, led by Professor Dr. Amir Zaman Khan, organized the seminar to foster collaboration and share insights between the two colleges. Professor Dr. Muhammad Shoaib Shafi delivered the welcome address, setting the stage for discussion on advancing medical education. Professor Dr. Khalid Masood Gondal, Senior Vice President CPSP, provided updates on the college's recent initiatives. Professor Dr. Mahmood Ayaz, CPSP Counselor and Director National Residency Program, presented a state-of-the-art lecture on artificial intelligence and robotic assessments and feedback in surgical training, highlighting the integration of technology in medical training. The seminar featured discussions on various topics such as artificial intelligence in medical education, led by Professor Dr. Junaid Sarfaraz Khan and Professor Dr. Kohinoor Begum, assessment strategies, insights from Professor Dr. Amreen Usmani and Professor Dr. Tahmeena Begum, accreditation and research, perspectives shared by Professor Dr. Muhammad Shahidullah, Professor Dr. Kamran Khalid Khwaja, Professor Dr. Tanveer Khalik, and Professor Major General Dr. Abdul Ali Mia. The sessions were moderated by Professor Dr. Amir Zaman Khan, Professor Abrar Ashraf Ali, and Professor Amreen Afzal, ensuring a seamless flow of discussions. The seminar was attended by the senior faculty members, supervisors, and fellows of the college, representing a significant step towards strengthening postgraduate medical education through international collaboration and the integration of innovative practices. Following the seminar, the Council of the College of Physicians and Surgeons Pakistan and the Bangladesh College of Physicians and Surgeons convened a meeting to discuss collaborative initiatives aimed at enhancing postgraduate medical education. The agenda focused on strengthening ties between the two colleges and exploring opportunities such as exchange of examiners, capacity building of workshops for BCPS, exchange programs, improving question banks, and organizing joint conferences between CPSP and BCPS. The meeting was highly productive and was greatly appreciated by the BCPS President, Professor Dr. Muhammad Shahidullah, who emphasized that advancing further can only be achieved by joining hands and working together. The meeting concluded with a vote of thanks from Professor Dr. Mahmood Ayaz. Following the meeting, Professor Dr. Muhammad Shoaib Shafi, President CPSP, Professor Dr. Khalid Masood Gondal, Senior Vice President CPSP, Council members of CPSP, President BCPS Professor Dr. Muhammad Shahidullah, and BCPS Council members participated in a ribbon-cutting ceremony to inaugurate the newly renovated CPSP library at Headquarters, Karachi. This event marked a significant milestone in enhancing the resources available for postgraduate medical education. In the evening, the CPSP Council hosted a dinner in the honor of the President of Bangladesh, Professor Shahidullah, and his council. The President of the Royal College of Edinburgh, Professor Andrew Elder, also graced the dinner meeting. Earlier, the delegates visited the college archive gallery, where both the President of Bangladesh, Professor Shahidullah, and the President Royal College of Edinburgh, Professor Andrew Elder, appreciated CPSP's rich history and national and international contributions. The dinner ceremony started with the recitation of Holy Quran by Professor Amir Zaman Khan. State Secretary Professor Khalid Ashrafi invited the speakers for sharing their experiences. Senior Vice President Professor Khalid Masood Gondal welcomed the honorable guest, highlighted the joint seminar outcome, and Professor Andrew Elder's thought-provoking lectures on clinical methods and bedside teaching, which he delivered at King Edward Medical University and Fatima Jinnah Medical University, Lahore, during his last visit at Lahore. President CPSP Professor Mohammad Shoaib Shafi, while thanking the guests, updated national and international contribution of CPSP. The guest of honor, Professor Andrew Elder and Professor Shahidullah, while acknowledging CPSP Council, said,
Since we landed in Pakistan the night of 24th, and today is 28th, all these days, the warm hospitality of our Pakistani brothers made us so happy, and which is again, another occasion that we are meeting here. Now, in this particular gathering, I'd like to thank particularly the President of CPSP, Professor Dr. Mohammad Shoaib Shafi, another big friend of Bangladesh, Professor M.GONDAL, the Senior Vice President, and Professor Andrew Elder, the President of Royal College of Edinburgh, and the esteemed councillors, fellows, ladies and gentlemen. This particular morning was very important to BCPS and as a president. Why? Because the important thing in our life as a professional, that we talk about science, education, training, and CPSP has nicely organized this joint meeting, joint seminar on advancing medical education. There have been fantastic deliberations. I learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure our colleagues from Bangladesh, they have learned a lot. So it's a kind of a rejuvenation. After 2012, this is first of its kind that we are having joint conference after 12 years. So perhaps we'll continue to do so. And your warm hospitality is to that extent that you had to invite us, sending several messages. But now it may so happen, even if you don't invite, people may love to come to Pakistan again.
So as I say, I've been extremely lucky to travel to many countries in the world. I was a bit embarrassed though, that in all my travels, I'd never managed to come to Pakistan. And that was, of course, until October last year when Professor M.GONDAL asked myself and a number of colleagues from Edinburgh to come to Lahore to speak about postgraduate medicine and again to learn from each other about how we do it. Yeah, we have one way of trying to train our residents, and you have another way. And each suits their own country and their own culture. Neither is any better than the other. And we both, I think, in that meeting in Lahore, learned a lot from each other. But both Professor M.GONDAL and Professor Shafi said, you must come to Karachi. Yeah, you must see our main building here, our main CPSP building in Karachi. And the hospitality was so good in Lahore, particularly our trip to the Wagah border, where I learned to say, let me see if I can get this right, Pakistan Zindabad. I thought, and my wife was with me, she thought I was a pretty tall person until Professor M.GONDAL arranged for me to have my photo taken with the Pakistan border guards there, when I looked very small in proportion to that. But our visit was so pleasant, we were so warmly greeted, both by CPSP and by KEMU, that I was invited to give a talk in Doha this coming weekend, and I thought, well, if I'm going to Doha, why don't I come over to Karachi? So here I am this evening. We're all fellows of different colleges, and I think it's just worth briefly reflecting on what fellowship means. What's that all about? And it's about connection, fundamentally for me, both within the country that you're based and with doctors again in other countries. It's about sharing and learning from each other. That can be done formally in meetings like you've had today, but it also is done around these kinds of supper tables when we again meet and share our thinking. I just wanted to finish with one thing in relation to what was said about the talks I gave in Lahore about physical examination and about basic, what we call bedside clinical skills. I think one of the talks I'm giving in Doha is on artificial intelligence, but it's on the limitations of artificial intelligence. Yeah, we all need to be extremely careful indeed, in my opinion, amidst all the fabulous technology that we have, that we don't forget the fundamentals of being a doctor, which is the skills of observing a patient, of gathering information from them in the history, of explaining things to them, of empathizing with them and supporting them and their families through the illness. I think artificial intelligence is fantastic, but I don't believe it will ever replace these fundamentals of being a bedside doctor. So thank you again for the invitation to come.
On this occasion, souvenirs were presented to President BCPS and members of BCPS Council, Professor Andrew Elder, Professor Saad Niaz, Professor Abdul Bari Khan, Dr. Rahim Bhatti, President BCPS, Professor Shahidullah, on behalf of BCPS, presented his college souvenir to President, Senior Vice President, and CPSP Council. The dinner ceremony concluded with the vote of thanks by the Vice President, Professor Abbas Memon. Thank you.